What's up, YouTube? This is Ludwig. I have a hard time not looking at myself because I'm not used to... Is this thing on? Hello? What I look like? Do I look good? Mom, do I look good? What's up, YouTube? Now I'm here to tell you how I paid off $238,000 of debt and achieved financial freedom. Let's go! Well, in order to do that, you're going to need a budget. You're going to need to know exactly how much money you're making, where it's going, what you're spending money on, and how much you potentially have left over. So in order to get more cash flow so that we can pay off our debt faster, smash that like button. We can either make more money, which is tougher to do sometimes, or we can find ways to spend less. And I found that to be the most effective way for me to increase the amount of money I keep in my pocket so I can pay off my debt faster and get closer to being financially free. Now, the first tip I'm going to give you is for housing and rent, which is usually the most expensive part of anybody's spending month to month. Now, the way that I reduced my housing and rent costs is by having roommates. So at first I lived with a couple friends, and that greatly reduced my cost of living. We were able to split rent, we split utilities, we were able to split, household items. So that greatly reduced my spending month to month, which greatly increased my cash flow. And with that cash flow, I used that to pay my debt off much faster than I would have been able to otherwise. The last one that I'd say is something I think people don't really think about often, which is something called the room for rent. So if you go on like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or other, whatever other social sites you might have, people usually rent out their rooms from their house or their duplex or whatever, and you're usually able to get, a complete place to live for a fraction of the cost of rent if you were to live on your own. For example, I live in Connecticut. The rent here is usually ranging between $1,100 to $1,500 a month for like a one-bedroom apartment. Now, I can go find a room for rent, so someone might have a house that they're not using, or they might have a finished basement that they'll rent out, and that range will be from like $500 to $700 a month, and that usually includes everything: utilities, hot water, heating. And that's a huge difference between $500 to $700 for everything included for your living costs to $1,200 to $1,500 a month, not even including utilities, not including any other costs of living. And that alone saved me a ton of money, especially in the last couple of years before I became debt free. I had a room for rent. I paid less than $700 a month for everything. And I was able to save, probably around $9,000 a year, which I was able to put towards my debt and paid off much faster than I would have been able to otherwise. The next big tip I'm going to give you is on cars. And cars, I feel like I spent so much money on cars. Now, the single best thing you could do is just buy a reliable car. Always buy a used car and not a new car, because new cars depreciate very quickly. Go on Consumer Reports before you buy anything. Check to see if there's recalls, check to see if there's engine and transmission issues. Those are the biggest things, the most costly things to repair. Just check for everything. Check to see if there's anything that should deter you from buying any particular car. Get a used car from a reliable car manufacturer like a Honda or a Toyota, and try to buy something that's cheap, something that is going to be more than affordable for you. It's better to have a car that's way within your means or your budget than a car that is close to what you can make on a monthly payment. I'd highly suggest not to finance a car at all, but people might not be in that position quite just yet. So make sure you get a car that is going to be affordable for you, which means a very low payment or something that you can pay for cash and or pay off very quickly, which is what I did. I got a car that I was able to pay off in 2 years as part of my debt-free journey. And not having a car payment, that was like a few $100s. I believe it was like $300 or so at the time, that stayed in my pocket every month. And as soon as I had paid my car off, I saw the huge difference that made in my budget, in my month-to-month spending. That's $300 that's added to my cash flow every month. And that's $300 every month I was able to add to my debt payoff and helped me to pay off my debt very quickly. Now, another tip is on car insurance, another big spender, I think, for most people. Now, what most people don't know is when you're switching a car insurance and they're giving you a lower quote, the reason why you're getting a lower quote is usually because your car is older than it was the last time. So when you get a new car quote, it's based on the current value of your car. The value of your car is going down. The cost of the car goes down, the cost to repair the car goes down, so the cost for the insurance company to insure your car is actually less for them. But your insurance rate tends to go up. So from the moment you get a new car quote, your car's value is going down and down, but your car insurance rate is going up and up. So that's why when you switch to another car insurance, they give you a new quote based on the current value of your car, which is lower than it was last time. And that's why the insurance rate is always cheaper. So I would always recommend to switch car insurances regularly. I don't stay with the car insurance for more than a year or two. Have you smashed the button for the YouTube algorithm yet? Have you? Now, what I would suggest is when you switch car insurances, make sure you know what kind of coverages you're getting. Because when you switch from one car insurance to another, your coverages are probably not going to be the same. So if there's anything that's particularly important for you to have covered, make sure that you get that in the new car insurance that you're switching to. You'll still get a much better rate, but you'll still have all the things that you needed at the same time. Now, food is one of the biggest, I think, expenditures that anybody has in their month-to-month spending. I spend quite a bit of money on food. Now, I'm debt-free. I have a healthy savings. I'm working towards buying a house. I still spend a good amount of money on food. Now, one of the best ways to save on food spending and cooking and eating out is just to eat at home. Now, most of my meals I make at home. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, I prepare at home. I try to not eat out much at all. Once a week I have like date night with my girlfriend. We even have a budget for that. And most of the time when we want to have a really nice meal, we'll just make it ourselves. We'll get the ingredients. My girlfriend's a really great cook. I'm starting to learn some things, and we can make a great meal at a fraction of the cost right at home. And that's one of the ways that, even though I do feel like I spend a good chunk of money on food still, even though I'm very conscious about my spending, I'm able to have enjoyable meals at home, spending less by doing it myself. And I know that for a lot of friends, that is a huge pain for them in their spending is eating out, because like Uber Eats, eating out at a restaurant, you know, the markup on food is like 4 to 10 times at a restaurant. You have to tip, there's time to travel, you know, there's a lot of cost that comes to eating out. So eating at home or packing food as often as possible is going to be one of the best ways to save money, and trust me, I could do this better a bit myself too. Now, this tip here is probably the most important tip I'm going to give you, okay? It's really something. It's a secret. This is millionaire talk here, okay? We don't really tell this to other people. We kind of keep it a secret. The best tip I'm going to have for you to saving money, to being frugal, so that you can be wealthy yourself, have a budget. Have a budget. You know, sit down, look at how much money you have coming in every month. Look at how much money you have coming out. Calculate your bills, your spending on food, gas, you know, out-of-pocket costs. Look at how much money you have left over and have a purpose for that money that's left over. Now, that could be to pay off your debt, pay off a credit card, pay off a student loan, to go into savings, have a purpose for the savings. The savings is for an emergency fund, or it's for a down payment on a house. Have a purpose for that savings or for that leftover cash flow. Let me tell you, once you have a purpose, once you have a budget and a purpose for that budget, sticking to it is going to be a lot easier. Like, I know that I have a certain number that I want to hit for savings every month. And I know that in order to hit that savings, I can't go over my budget in other areas. So for me, that's saving up for a house right now. So any extra spending I do, I know is going to get in the way of getting that house, which is very important for me. It's a very important next step for me in my wealth building journey. So I know that any spending that I'm going to do outside of my budget is going to get in the way of that bigger goal. So have a bigger goal. Trust me, when you have that in the back of your head, you're not going to want to spend extra money. You're not going to want to buy those extra things that you don't need. You're going to find a reason to not spend. You'll find your own tips and tricks and ways to cut back on your spending because you're going to be motivated to hit that goal. So have a goal. Now, if you enjoyed that, smash that like button for the algorithm and subscribe to a brother. Okay, I plan on putting out more tips, more videos. I'll talk about my debt journey more, how I got into debt, how I got out of debt. I'm going to try to help everybody else enjoy the financial freedom that I feel. And I want as many people on this journey with me. So if you want to be a part of that, subscribe, smash the like button, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.